content localization, and we've done a number of prototypes so far on various ways that this can be accomplished. We have plenty of team members that are in Europe that are very keen on this particular solution, and so they've come forward with different solutions. And at this point, we're trying to evaluate which of those approaches is the best. And we haven't actually made any significant. Well, we've made progress in terms of the prototypes, but it'll be at least the next probably 5.1 before there's actually content localization. That being said, there have been some improvements in 5.0 in the localization area. One of the problems that we've typically had with the static content is that people or translators who maintain the language packages for particular languages, the tools were not necessarily, they were there, but they're not necessarily up to what they could be in terms of making that experience as good as possible for translators. And so what we've done is, and we're going to touch on this a bit when we talk about DNN 5 specifically, but we've overhauled the entire installation packaging experience for all of the extensions in the platform. So that includes modules and skins and providers, but it also includes language packs. And so now we have a unified packaging format, and language packs are included in that format. And so a language package can now contain a lot of different metadata about the package in terms of who created it, when it was created, which allows it to be better managed. We have better facilities for installing those packages into the application. So you can install a language pack for the core, language pack for modules. I mean, we had that capability today, but we've improved that somewhat. We have better capability for translators to identify keys that are missing from language packs, which typically happens when there's new versions of the product which come out. New capabilities are always added, which means that new language translations need to be added as well. And I guess one of the last things which is an important feature, which we talked about with some of our teams in Europe, in OpenForce North America, was the ability. We've had an update service in the application for a long time, which notifies you if there's a new version of a module which is available, at least the core or any of the core modules. We were asked to extend that capability so that it can notify you if there's a language pack available for a particular component as well. So for example, if you're running the UDT module, which is maintained by one of our team members in Germany, he also manages the German language pack. He wanted the ability for a German user to be able to select German from the administrative interface and find out whether there was a new a language pack available for the UDT module, and then be able to go to his site and download it. So that's one of the new features which has been added to the update service. So there's greater notification for language packs in the update service.
So a quick question for the audience out here. How many people currently are either running your own websites or your company websites, or have customers who require or run websites using the localization features? A couple of people, 10, 15 people? Pretty decent number. So like, what are the features or functionalities where you're finding challenges around localization? Like what can we do to improve your localization experience?
Find a translator. I think it all goes back to documentation, really. Having consistent documentation is also translated to match. So not only the localization text and the tags and the tables that Shane mentioned, but the supporting documentation so they're consistent with each other.
So the feedback is that we have a lot of documentation which we maintain, but it's only in English, and it would be useful to have that translated into other languages.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Any other challenges or feedback on localization as it exists, or things that we can do to help you?
Joe, I do a site in Portuguese in Brazil, and one of the problems I've had is that the language packs are several releases behind the current release. And so even if I have to wait until there's a language pack for a release, that triggers my upgrade path.
Right.
So it's I can't upgrade until I have a language pack that supports the upgrade.
And I hear you. And some of what the challenge that we face is that obviously the four of us up here maybe have 3 languages between us, possibly 4. But yeah, I don't know Portuguese. My Cyrillic is a little off. So obviously we rely very heavily on the community to provide those translations. So to the degree that there are issues in Portuguese in Brazil, which is slightly different from the Portuguese in Portugal. So to the degree that those things occur, we really need people like yourself and your customers to help out in contributing back in the community to help build up those resources, because obviously we don't have those resources on the
Yeah, there's another aspect to this as well, in that with language packs today, there is no financial incentive for volunteers to maintain those language packs. And so, depending on the workload of the individual who's in charge of translating, you're right, it may take a couple versions before they decide it's time to do a translation to bring it up to the current version of the product. The enhancements made to the update service actually start maybe don't provide financial incentive, but do start providing some more incentive for translators, because the capability there is that users of the application are going to be able to find out immediately when there's new language packs available, and they're going to be rerouted to the website of the person who is maintaining the translation. So they'll get traffic to their website if they keep the language resources up to date, which is an incentive, right? If they're building a regional business, say in Portuguese, and then they're maintaining the Portuguese language packs, they're going to get a lot more traffic their way if they keep up with it.
Right.
So that's part of the challenge, is what's going to motivate people to do it.
So maybe the freeze releases until our language pack.
One more. And first off, I apologize, Sean. My language pack called you Shane earlier. I didn't convert that well. So, has there been any experiment with using CSS to apply different graphics or any objects to help facilitate the language pack conversions? So instead of uploading a separate language pack as it's handled now, let's just display it differently as from the CSS tag or some program that needs to apply the global change.
So the question is about localizing
It
images
seems
in
like one of the
CSS.
hurdles, is the way you actually implement localization now. It seems that might be controllable by CSS. That's just maybe that's more of a question.
Yeah, unfortunately, where that breaks down is when it comes to things like indexing, search, etc. But I think you have a very valid point in that we should potentially look to the localization of imagery also, so it's culture specific.
Help pop up, not database driven elements completely, but help pop up some things like that.
Okay, good suggestion.
Just real quickly, one thing I wanted to add with respect to the language packs, et cetera. I think I've heard from a number of people, and continue to hear, of course, that one of the things that's hard with the project is there's a lot of you out there who want to contribute, and it's not always entirely obvious how you can. And so I'll just apologize for that. There's a lot going on, and a lot of information to present. But in where we're making these changes to make it easier to see for example, where those changes can be made, we're going to be doing more over the rest of the year, I should say, to help make more obvious where opportunities are for people to contribute. So, for example, as a pure English speaker, my German's a little rusty, but language and a half. I just don't see when the language packs aren't even up to date. But if we were able to make it more visible that things are being done and things are occurring like that, then there are going to be more people, even English speakers, who are going to say, "Hey, wow, look what's current, look what's not current," and kind of generate a little bit more of that excitement on a community level. So we're doing things on the soft side of the house as well as on the technical applications.
Okay, so to keep moving on, the third area that we talked about at OpenForce 07 was the administration side and things that we could do in the admin UI, not just from a usability perspective, but maybe from a permissions perspective as well. So changes that we could do to